Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Bottom Line Live. It is good to see you all. I mean, I'm not seeing you, you're seeing me, but I'm excited to be here. I'm excited that my house is all in one piece since the hurricane, ended up missing Clearwater and the Tampa area by a lot, but it was coming straight for us for a minute, and I saw the devastation in Fort Myers, and I am glad that my house did not do that. We lost power for a little bit, but there's leaves on the ground, but that's about it. But that got me thinking, guys. Preparation for emergencies. It is still tax season. Taxes are due. Your personal taxes are due. If you filed for an extension, you've got about 2 weeks left. The 17th of October is when they're due. So now is the time. If you haven't done it yet, I mean, your CPA is probably waiting for you to give them stuff, and now is the time to get that. It really got me thinking about preparation, because you know why, guys? Every year around this time, regardless of the fact that I live in Florida and we get hurricanes that stress me out more than I knew they would. This is the time of year that we also get people reaching out saying, oh my gosh, I need to file my taxes tomorrow. Have I or have I not been saying, guys, it's tax season, hurry up, for the last 3 months, right? I know I've been saying this. So if anybody hasn't been listening to me, this is proof why you should be listening to me. I just had someone reach out to me today. I won't name any names, and say, oh, I have to get all my paperwork together to file my taxes. I promised I would do them this weekend. Can you help me? Luckily, this is a friend of mine, so I'm going to help him. But normally I would just be like, oh no, because no one's working this weekend. I was in hurricane prep mode, and I can't help you, buddy. You should have come to me sooner. But he's my friend, so I'm gonna figure out how to help him anyways. But he is freaking out, and he just had to go through the hurricane stuff, and he hasn't done his taxes yet. He hasn't given the CPA what they need for the taxes. So let's just not do that. Let's not do that to ourselves. Let's get prepared. Let's get prepared on time. So what does that mean? What do we need to do to be prepared for taxes, for bookkeeping? What does this entail? So let me tell you, your CPA, your tax preparer, is going to ask you to see your bookkeeping. He or she is going to want to see a profit and loss statement. What is a profit and loss statement? If you have a company, this is for companies. If you are an individual and you don't have a company, either like an LLC, a sole prop, or C corporation, this doesn't apply to you, or not all of this applies to you. But tax preparation, your CPA, your tax preparer, needs a profit and loss statement. A profit and loss statement shows them what you've made for the year. The top line is income. Then you've got all your different, cost of goods, expenses, and the bottom line is going to be your profit. You get taxed on your profits. So your CPA needs that, or your tax preparer needs that. They also are going to want a balance sheet. A balance sheet shows all of your loans, your assets, what you owe, what's owed to you. They need those things in order to file your taxes. It also shows, the balance of your bank accounts, all these different things. They need that in order to file your taxes. They don't need a lot. They might also send you like an organizer that asks you a bunch of questions. Do you have a home office? Do you have home office expenses? Do you have donations? There's a lot of things that you need for taxes on your personal side. You need to know what you've donated, what your medical expenses are. You need to know if you do have a home office, like what's the square footage, what mileage, are you tracking your business mileage? Are you tracking any volunteer mileage? There's things you need to know on your personal side as well. And that's why a lot of CPAs and tax firms will send you a questionnaire. But I can almost guarantee you that they sent it to you in February. So while I know a lot of people have come to me and said that the CPA didn't file my business taxes until the day of, and it was really stressful. And I do understand it's been a hard tax season for a lot of CPAs and tax preparers. It's been a hard couple of years of tax season with COVID and a lot of tax rules changing. It hasn't been easy for them. So I'd like to apologize for my entire industry and apologize to you that your taxes, if you gave them stuff much earlier and they only filed it the day of or the day before. You're right, they did. It sucked. They didn't tell you what you owed before, like, but let's be nice to them because they have had a hard time. And I don't do taxes, but I talk to a lot of CPAs and tax preparers, and I know it's been hard for them. It's been a rough couple of years. So hopefully this next year is going to be, filing for 2022 is going to be a lot easier. But what do you need to have in place so that it's easier for you and for them? You need to have bookkeeping in place. You need to keep your receipts. The IRS is hiring, 70,000 more auditors. So you are that much more likely to get audited, and that's going to be more work for your CPA, accountant, bookkeeper. So you need to keep receipts. You need to, if you're not at a place where you're hiring a bookkeeper, you need to keep track of your bookkeeping. You need to keep on top of it like every week, because guys, you're not going to remember what you spent that $20 in cash on. Like, try not to use cash. It's really hard to track, not because there's anything wrong with cash, just because there's no paperwork involved. So you're not going to remember what you spent it on. If you took $20 out of the ATM, you're like, I don't know, I think it was for food, maybe it was for gas. If you took $100 out of the ATM, you're like, maybe I hired the guy standing outside of Home Depot, like, I don't know, but you're not going to remember in a few weeks probably, because there's so much stuff that business owners do on a day-to-day. So try not to use cash, use a debit card. Even checks are more unnecessary work. So use your debit card or your credit card as much as you possibly can. There's records of everything. Then when we're doing your bookkeeping or you're doing it yourself, you can easily figure out what it is. This is my hope for you. It's the Jewish New Year. So my Jewish New Year's hope for you is that your New Year's resolution is that this year for 2022, you have everything done by the end of the year. So when I come to you, or your bookkeeper comes to you, or your CPA comes to you and says, okay, it's January 15th, we need to get all of the W-9s to file your 1099s on time, you're just like on it. You got W-9s from every single vendor that you paid because you were prepared and you knew you needed it. So that way you didn't have to stress out, or we didn't have to stress out to get it for you at the last second. Your bookkeeping, you have all your receipts, your records are all in good place. You answered all of your bookkeeper's questions as far as what is this, what is this, what is this, and you completed it on time. So by January, the end of January, the bookkeeping for 2022 is done. By the end of March, it's reviewed, by the end of February, it's all reviewed, it's all perfect, and we send it to your CPA. Because you know what? If you did that, your taxes would be filed by March 15th, by April 15th, and you can have the next 6 months of your life without being worried about your taxes. Like, here's an analogy. I did not find wood to board up my house that I wanted to. Not only could I not find wood, then when I found wood, I couldn't find someone with a truck to help me get it, and I couldn't find someone or hire someone to put it on my windows fast enough. And if a hurricane category 5 had come through, I would have been totally effed. It didn't come through. I was lucky, but taxes come through every year. So you have to prepare. And I was too little too late. I know what I have to do for next year or for next time. I 100% know that I don't want to experience that feeling of not having prepared the way that I should. And that's how you guys tell me you feel every year for taxes. You sit in a closet in a corner of your office for 3 days with a box of receipts and paperwork and hopefully QuickBooks, and you pull your hair and there's a strong coffee involved and you hope you have all your numbers together. But you know what? You're not prepared. You're probably missing deductions. You probably don't have all your ducks in a row. And I know this because I see your books, and I'm not judging. I'm here to help. but I don't want you to be stressed out. My mission statement is complete and perfect financial records for your peace of mind. I want you to have peace of mind. I want you that, you know, if you live in Florida, for instance, and it's September, you're not worried about your taxes. You're making sure you're prepared for the hurricanes. And you're not, and you got your taxes turned into your CPA, whether they filed it on time or not. You got it in by February. Can you imagine the relief that you would have if you turned everything into your CPA or your tax preparer by February, and you got all of your W-9s to your bookkeeper or your 1099s by December? Like, can you imagine the relief that you would feel? Can you imagine how much more you'll be able to get done the rest of the year because you're not worried about it and you know what you're going to owe? Because when you don't give your CPA or your tax preparer your paperwork until the end of August or the beginning of September, that's when you're going to know what you owe. Like, maybe they'll give you an estimated amount earlier in the year, but how many of you like getting to the end of the year and finding out from your CPA or bookkeeper or your tax preparer that you need 25,000, 50,000, whatever it is, 30,000, 100,000 for taxes in a few days? How many of you just like love that? I don't love that. I mean, luckily I, had turned in all of my paperwork. I did everything. The CPA told me the estimated amount. I paid it on March 15th. I owed a couple more grand. Okay, it sucked. I had to figure it out, He said, oh, it was different than we thought it was. You started a second company. We didn't have that calculated in there. All right, fine. Here's a couple more grand. But it wasn't that I had to come up with another 20 grand or another 50 grand by September 15th. Guys, that sounds painful. And I know it's painful because a lot of you have told me that you've had to do that and it's been painful. So why don't we just say, no, let's not do that and be prepared. Emergencies don't happen when you're prepared. Imagine if you knew earlier in the year what you needed to pay for taxes. And even on top of that, you had estimated coupons. So you knew and you were putting that aside. And imagine if out of every week's income, you had a financial plan and you put money aside for taxes. Like, let's say you put 15 or 20% of your revenue aside for taxes and you just put it there and then you turn in your estimated taxes quarterly. And maybe you've set aside too much money by the end of the year and you get to refund yourself and you get to buy something you want, or you get to invest it in something, you get to put it in your sacred account. Maybe you're setting the money aside in your sacred account. Like, imagine the relief that you will feel by not having to come up with 25,000, 50,000, 30,000, 100,000 for taxes. Even in March, you turn in all your stuff and it's like, oh, we need 25,000. And you're like, what now? I don't have 25,000. Okay, but you made the profit. Well, but I spent it. Of course you spent it. Who keeps money sitting around in their bank account? Nobody does. You're always going to spend all your money. But what do you need to do? You need to put taxes aside as part of spending your money. You need to put set aside. You need like 6 months of reserves. I have a client who not only doesn't have reserves, but they're in an industry where they only are working part of the year and they made really good money part of the year, but they might not make any more money for 6 months. So I'm always telling artists, actors, seasonal people, you got to put like 6 months of reserves aside, and you got to put tax money aside when you're making money. I know there's a really big inclination to buy yourself fun stuff. And, it's not that I don't buy myself fun stuff. I just got my nails done and they're acrylic. And that means that now I'm committed and I'm gonna have to do this every 2 to 3 weeks for like the rest of my life. So it's not that I don't buy fun stuff, but the whole what color is your Bugatti thing, maybe get 6 months of reserves first, maybe put aside taxes first, and then go buy the Bugatti. I don't care what you buy. You should eat at nice restaurants. You should have nice things, but also know that you're going to owe that money for taxes, and that there might be situations where you need to have money aside. If you're doing seasonal work, if you're like an actor, you need to have money aside. You just have to. You can't. What are you going to do when you're not working for a few months? What are you going to do when there's a pandemic or a hurricane that shuts down your operations? We got to be prepared, guys. We got to be Boy Scouts. And I'm working on getting better at this myself. You know, I'm trying to do a financial plan every week. I'm trying to set aside money for taxes. So in March, when my CPA tells me you need 25,000 or whatever he tells me, I have the money set aside because I was doing it every week. And it's not a burden because I'm setting it aside, and it's, in my mind, it's spent. It's not sitting in my bank account anymore. It's in like a savings account. It is spent. So I don't spend it on something else. You know, I'm working on getting like my few months of reserves in my sacred account, all that stuff. I'm working on it all. I am human and I like to spend money just as much as everybody else. You know, if I see a cute dress, I usually want to buy it. But do I buy it? It depends. It depends. Right now I'm buying hurricane prep stuff for next year so that I don't have to be stressed out about it next year because I am getting prepared. So what do you need to do to be prepared as a business owner? You have to have your financial plans. You have to be putting money aside for taxes, be putting money aside for reserves, get that money in your sacred account. You have to have bookkeeping. You have to have tax planning. And what is the first thing that tax planning is going to want is bookkeeping. So you got to have bookkeeping. You got to either you're doing it yourself. If you need any help, even if you just need, you know, someone to teach you how to use QuickBooks or whatever, reach out. I will help you. And if you have a bookkeeper, just make sure that, you know, they're doing what they're supposed to be doing. If you don't have a bookkeeper and you want one, feel free to reach out. We are always taking on more clients. We just hired 2 more bookkeepers. So we are growing fast and, you know, we want to help you, but we really want you to be prepared because we don't want you to be stressed out. We want you to have peace of mind. We don't want there to be hurricane taxes that you're not expecting, because hurricane taxes happens every year. There is only 2 things certain in life, right? One of them is taxes. So we don't want you to be caught off guard. We don't want you to be stressed out. We don't want you to have to figure everything out in the last second. We want you to be prepared well ahead of time, because when you're prepared for things, then they don't negatively affect you. If you had bookkeeping and all you needed was to, you know, print a copy of your P&L and balance sheet and send it to your CPA, or ask your bookkeeper to send it to your CPA, imagine how zen your life is going to be. Do we like zen? I like zen. So let's work on that. Let's work on that as entrepreneurs. Let's work on that as business owners. Let's get, you know, we always talk about that we want work-life balance, and how as an entrepreneur you don't really get that because you're working your ass off. But at least like mentally, let's have mental space for things that aren't stressing you out. Let's have mental space for our family, for our friends, for our company, and not have to have it all used up by freaking out about our taxes for the last possible second, or trying to figure out how to pay less taxes in the last possible second. Do your bookkeeping now. It's tax planning season. Also, plan your stuff for 2023. Find out from your tax planner, what do you need to do to owe less taxes for 2023. Obviously there's like a certain phase where your company starts making money, but it's not making enough to do any cool like tax loopholes really. And so you're just going to end up paying more taxes, and you just got to get through that and get to the other end where you can start doing some of these cool tax planning things. But in the meantime, there are still things that you can do. And the main one, of course, is to be tracking all of your deductions. If you're trying to do your bookkeeping all at the end of the year with a shoebox full of receipts, you are going to be missing deductions and you're going to be overpaying the IRS. So we want you to have all of your preparation in place. We want you to have a financial plan. We want you to have reserves and tax set-asides. And we want you to put it like in a sacred account or somewhere where you can't easily spend it. We want you to have bookkeeping, and we want you to have tax planning. And if you need help on any of those things, definitely feel free to reach out to me, because even though hurricanes come almost every year to Florida, they don't come every year, but taxes every year, no fail. Nothing you can do about it. Always hurricane taxes. Okay, so I'm pretty much going to wrap up here because I just wanted to kind of say that today on my bottom line live. taxes come every year, and we don't want you to overpay them. We want you to pay only what you owe. And we want you to not stress out about it. We want it to be a peaceful Zen experience, which I know sounds crazy, but imagine if you got it all done early enough to where it could be a peaceful Zen experience. And all you had to do was send them your reports, and you had set aside for taxes, and you don't have to worry about anything else. Like, just imagine that. I like that concept. All right. So if you have any questions, let me check my Zoom here. If anybody has any questions for me, Zoom. Anybody has any questions? Doesn't look like it. And Facebook, nobody has any questions. You guys are good. If you do have any questions, you can write them in the comments. Even after this is over, I will answer. And if you, or you can email me, maya@solvencynow.com. You can find me. You can go to my website, solvencynow.com. You can reach out to me on LinkedIn under Maya Weinreb, on Facebook under Solvency Now Bookkeeping, on Instagram under Solvency Now Bookkeeping, on TikTok. Check out our new TikTok page. We've got lots of tips on there. Solvency Now Bookkeeping. So we're easy to find. If you need any help, even if you just need a consultation, even if you just need advice, reach out. I will help you. And if you have questions, you can email them, comment them, whatever you want. I am here to help. And if you're not like the right client for me, you know, we don't do every type of industry. I have referrals, I have CPA referrals. So if you need anything, I am here to help. That is what I do. I'm here to make your life better on your finances. And I'm just gonna stop there, because that is pretty much what I had to say. Let's be prepared, because taxes happen every year. All right, thank you guys so much, and I will see you next week, same time, 7 p.m. Eastern on Thursday for the Bottom Line Live. Bye-bye.